Tony, you love fucking bullshit wrestling, pro wrestling, right? You love that fake wrestling.
He likes the drama.
Now think if the drug test was like the UFC and they're all skinny. Is it as cool? No. You watch pro wrestling because they're these characters. They look like superheroes.
Well, CM Punk...
Take away drug tests and see what happens.
Well, here's a bad example, though. CM Punk is like one of the biggest wrestlers in the world, and he's 100% clean.
He's the exception.
But there's a good example.
No, the WWF went through what UFC's going through now. Back in that Hulk Hogan thing in the mid-early 90s, it was huge, and so they had to eliminate it. They have to do it themselves. They have like a super strict policy.
Bro,
I'm serious.
Super strict. You tell me Batista and The Rock are clean?
No.
Watch your words, sir.
Come on, The Rock. You think The Rock's on steroids?
Yes. You don't think Hulk Hogan ever had a needle in his ass?
Fucking mouth.
I thought this is
Tony, you weigh 6 pounds, and you're talking about a guy who is an immense super athlete. He's probably about 260.
Is Brock Lesnar on steroids?
Of course, they've all done something.
Yeah.
They've all done. Brock Lesnar, first of all, has superior genetics. He's bone structure that guy has. You can go back to when Brock Lesnar was in high school. He was a fucking monster.
Didn't you tell me he benched 225 49 times?
Yes.
49 times.
Well, you got to see his combine. His combine
numbers are stupid.
His combine numbers are through the roof. His vertical is insane. Pull up Brock Lesnar's combine numbers, Jamie.
All that said, he got shitted on when he got to the NFL. They made fun of him.
Well, it's a sport.
They made fun of him.
Well, he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. He never played football.
Yeah, he's been doing wrestling.
But that said, Brock Lesnar's a freak. Brock Lesnar's a super freak. But back to bullshit wrestling. You don't think these guys, because think of their schedules too. Their schedule's fucking insane.
Every night.
You're not eating protein shakes and staying on that schedule, my man. I hate to piss on your sport or your entertainment.
I mean,
well, those guys are constantly not getting enough sleep.
Never,
they're flying in. Yeah, it's a brutal schedule.
You talk to someone who's in that business, it's brutal, man. And they have to. A lot of times, they have to pay for themselves. They have to own rental cars and then bill the company. It's a brutal circus of shit.
Totally.
You think Triple H is fucking clean?
You don't get a neck like my waist.
I don't know what Triple H is doing. That's an interesting one. I mean, he's a fucking monster. He's shaped weird.
What about Batista, dude?
Look, Batista's the worst. Rock? I don't even acknowledge that Batista was ever even in pro. He's so terrible.
What are you talking about? He was great in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Phenomenal.
You're a mess.
No.
How dare you?
No. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Disappointed.
You're watching Talking Trees and shit.
That movie was great.
Talking
Trees and shit.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
Jurassic Park's a motherfucker.
What's a good movie to you?
Mad Max was great.
I didn't see it. I heard it was awesome.
You're gonna fucking love it.
You know what?
Too much action.
You know what's dope, dude? That I didn't see until this weekend when I was flying back from Mexico. John Wick. That Keanu Reeves movie, the action movie, he plays an assassin. They kill his dog, and he goes and kills everybody.
Really?
Oh,
hold on, they kill his dog, so he goes nuts.
No. I'm not doing it justice.
He just gets revenge. They kill something.
Here's his combine numbers. It's a fucking phenomenal movie. They're doing John Wick 2. Look at his 40, 4.740. By the way, 283 pounds. 4.740, 35-inch vertical jump, long jump, 10 feet. Standing long jump, 10 feet, bench press, 225 for 30 reps. Jesus fucking Christ. A running back living in the body of a defensive end.
It's ridiculous.
He's a freak.
I got to be honest, especially when he did do that, it was a number of years ago. Now that's not that freakish.
Yeah,
really.
Well, but you got to think about it.
There's some fucking freaks now.
This isn't something he was training for.
No,
this isn't a guy that was moving towards being a pro football
and just
player.
decided to do it. Brock Lesnar's the biggest freak the UFC's ever seen. Ever, hands down.
If Brock
he would rip our dicks off right now.
If Brock Lesnar had the right coach, like if he went to not saying there's anything wrong with his coaches. This is what I'm saying is if he had the right coach and the right amount of time, like if he went to a Matt Hume or a Faraz Sahabi and they engineered his career from the beginning to the time he's being introduced to the UFC to the time he's introduced to high-level competition, he could have been an all-time
He's the best,
great.
Yes, best heavyweight ever. But he has the capabilities.
He fought a former heavyweight champion in his second professional fight. He fought Frank Mir in his second professional fight. He had no idea how to defend against a leg lock.
Yeah.
He got leg locked.
That's my favorite fight of all time.
Great fight. Frank Mir's a bad motherfucker. But then in his third fight after that, he fights Heath Herring, beats the shit out of Heath Herring. Then he fights Randy fucking Couture, stops Randy Couture in his fourth professional fucking fight.
Yeah, but Randy Couture was like fucking in a wheelchair to the octagon, and then here's fucking Brock Lesnar.
Still, it doesn't matter. He's still, for the fourth professional fight, insanely impressive. What he's done in his career, man.
He beat Shane in his prime.
Yes, he did.
Shane was in his prime, and he got fucked up.
After Shane rocked him.
Oh, after Shane beat the shit out of him, where they could have stopped it, let's be honest.
Easily could have stopped it. Easily
Good thing they didn't, because he came back and won. That's why he
came back and strangled him. Look, Brock Lesnar, I mean, he had no business fighting Alistair after he came back from that surgery. He had no business fighting Kane. He just was not on that level. But if he learned to get on that level...
He beats all those guys.
He beats all those guys.
He has more talent than all those guys.
All those guys.
And...
but he doesn't like to get hit.
Dude, ask Pat Barry when he was in his training camp. And Pat, they brought Pat Barry in before he fought someone, I forget. And Pat moved out there and was in Minnesota. And he said he'd only train like 2 or 3 times a week. And they were sparring. And Pat, Pat goes hard. Pat was a training partner of mine for years. Pat goes really hard. He's a motherfucker, man. He's a beast stand-up. Terrible ground. Anyways, so he fucking hits Brock. And I guess Brock freaks the fuck out. And his coaches were like, what the fuck are you doing? And Pat's like, what do you mean? Like, don't fucking hit Brock in the face. Pat was like, what the fuck am I doing here then? And they're like, you just paw, man. Just feel it out.
What?
Yeah, and Pat was like, this is some bullshit. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They weren't hitting him. But that's
ask Pat about it next time you see him. Great story.
Well, that's weird.
About him training with Brock.
I had heard conflicting stories. I had heard that that's not true. So I'm going to have to do a fight night without you guys.